Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
When I was first introduced to my wife, it was one of those wonderful coincidences of life, those moments. And my sister-in-law, my future sister-in-law, Rachel's sister, knew me a little bit and wrote to me around my birthday and asked me, was I single? I said. And her sister Rachel lived in Seattle and I live in Los Angeles. And so we spoke on the phone, and in one of our first conversations, I noted that just a few weeks later, my father, who's a teacher of Jewish spirituality and meditation, was going to happen to be in Seattle, and would she want to go to his session and lecture? And she said, okay. And then there was this amazing thing. At that same day, a little bit later in the day, she received a phone call from a friend of hers that she hadn't heard from in more than 5 years, who had once, many years before, told her about a meditation teacher that he had back in Jerusalem, completely not knowing about any of the other side. And he said, I'd really like to invite you to this special talk that's happening. And so she said, wow, something's happening here. And she decided to go. And after meeting my father, she also spent Shabbat Friday night with all of them, and then decided to come down and visit while I was finishing up my thesis in rabbinical school. A few months later, we were engaged, and you know the rest of the story. We were married, and here we are. And so we all have those periods in our life, right? Periods where everything appears to just be going with the power of the universe. Events of life are just moving everything forward, and everything is blessed. It doesn't mean everything is blessed. There's always challenges, but there's just one of those moments. And we see it also in our parsha this week, a big parsha of transition in the lives of Abraham and Sarah and the first family, and it begins with a loss. Right? Sarah passes away, and Abraham is led to eulogize her, and Torah says he weeps for her and he buries her. And the commentators ask, well, why does it say he eulogizes her and he weeps for her? Isn't that included in burying her? And they said, no, the Torah wanted to really show how deep their connection was. Not only because of their connection, but what a loss it was. Her presence in the world, who she was, that was so special, would now be missing. As the Midrash says, she used to light the Shabbos candles, and the light from the candles would light up the whole community for the whole week until the next week. But then she was gone. And it's a profoundly changing moment. But then they have one of these amazing moments of blessing that follows. Abraham is old, and he realizes, wait a second, my son isn't married. And so he sends his servant Eliezer to find a wife for Isaac, because it happened that there were no suitable spouses for him there. And so Eliezer leads a mission, and he goes with 10 camels and all the riches of the family to where Abraham and Sarah were born to find a wife. And he arrives with his camels at the watering hole, and he just says simply, God, please show me the wife for Isaac. May the first woman who comes and offers to give waters to all of my 10 camels, right, long and arduous task, may she be the one. In the very instant he says that, the Torah says Rebecca appears, and she is beautiful, and he comes to her, and he asks her for water, and she immediately offers him to drink as much as he wants, and also offers to give water to all of his camels. And so he asks her, what's your name? And you find out that she's a member of Abraham's extended family, a perfect match. And so he falls on his face, and suddenly there's so much excitement. He shares why he was there, and she's excited, and they run off to tell her father, and he catches the excitement, and soon enough the Torah repeats the exact same story twice, just to show how exciting the whole episode is. Her father says this can only be a divine sign, and after a few moments the reality sets in. They say, wait a second, what are we doing here? And they ask her, do you want to go? And she says, I do want to go. And she was a young teenager, and she was willing to go into the unknown. She said, this is surely God's will. And so they shower gifts on the family, and then Rebecca departs back on the camel with the divine winds on her back. And back in Canaan, Isaac is out in the field praying or meditating, and then he sees his future wife approach, and they fall in love. And soon enough, the Midrash says, Rebecca's the one lighting the Shabbos candles for the whole community. And it's not that their whole life is perfect, right? Whose is? Later on, they have twins, and one of them is very challenging. And And they favor different ones, and it leads to all the problems of next week's Parsha. But that's next week's Parsha. Because this moment was a meant moment. And it was one of beauty and one of possibility, where all the divine coincidences were just happening to create that future of the family. And we all have these periods in our lives, surrounding different aspects of our lives. And the Torah's message is to enjoy them, and to go with the ride, and to hold on to them, and to not retell them once, but to retell them twice, and to always go back to them, because when all the other things happen, to hold on to them, and to use them to have faith in the truth of our lives, wherever it is, relationships, family, professional, career. And while most of us do not hear God talk to us the way Abraham hears God talk to us, many of us do have those periods of blessing in our life, and those periods where coincidences and the stars seem to align, the encounters when the difficult to explain happens. And they're part of the beauty of our lives. And so at our wedding, Rachel and I's wedding, the man who called her to say that the meditation teacher was coming, who happened to be an old family friend of my family too, said the last blessing under the chuppah to us. And the melody that he sang, we still sing every Shabbat in our family. So also on this Shabbat, we're celebrating an anniversary high and carol. And we all know what it meant, relationship and life, and we're so grateful to be able to celebrate with you. And may we all have those moments in our lives. Shabbat Shalom.